Hello, welcome, embodiment practice. Thank you all so much for joining in. So today we're going to be looking at, this idea of the soma, the sort of the trunk of us, the bringing this attention away from our minds and into this incredibly intuitive body that we have. Time for all those in the UK that have sort of woken up on a Sunday morning and are going to be doing a little bit of meditation. Amazing. Anyway, wonderful to have you on. So wherever you are, get yourself nice and comfortable because we're just going to jump straight into the practice. Now, one of the most important things, just as you're getting yourself comfortable, one of the reasons why we do a lot of somatic practices, this sort of embodiment, the body scans, all that sort of stuff, is we have all this information that's going on below the neck, yet we spend so much time of it just up in the mind. And what we're trying to do is just bring some of that attention up from this intuitive body that we have so that we're beginning to think, not so much think into things, but more feel into what's happening in our lives. And we begin to sort of feel into, touch up to, listen to some of that information that our body is presenting us about what is happening in our environment. Now, sometimes we just think our way through life, when we forget this huge thing that was certainly probably a lot larger for me, this huge thing that we have below our necks that we can use as a guide. Wonderfully, one of the side effects of that is relaxation. And through that relaxation, through that softer mind, we begin to sort of, just makes life a little simpler, shall we say. So again, wherever you are, and apologies if the internet drops every now and again, but we'll just work through it. Use the internet lag as a bit of an opportunity to work with that distraction. I know that I'll come back on in a few moments later. So you hear and all of a sudden it sort of crackle, and just resting and bringing your attention back to your breath, back to the sensation, and just waiting for the guidance to come through again. Okay, just like any other distraction. And so where you are, just feeling the body. And let's start with just a couple of key points. So maybe if we're lying down at the moment, we can feel our heels that are dug into the mat, feel our shoulder blades against the bed or the couch, maybe our head against the pillow. Or if we're sitting up, we get a sense of weight, feeling the weight against our cushion. Maybe our hands are rested in our laps and we can get a feeling of warmth that's there. If we've got our eyes closed, maybe even we can feel the weight of our eyelids. And we're just allowing our attention just to rest into the body in this way. And remembering there's no destination to get to. I'm not trying to cultivate relaxation. Relaxation is a wonderful byproduct of a fruitful practice. I suppose cultivating is a word we could use to describe it. Really, it's just the dedication, the continuing on with your practice, making it regular, that helps that relaxation to grow. And just as we're focusing on the body in this way, just bringing some attention onto our breath. And we're just going to watch how this breath moves and flows. Again, this isn't an invitation to try and change the breath in any way. We're just watching the movement. And maybe the movement is most prominent down in the stomach. Maybe it's at the nostrils or in the the upper lip. We're just watching how this breath moves. It flows into and out of us. There's no requirement to breathe deeply or breathe shortly, shallowly. The only thing we're really doing now is watching. Resting and watching that movement. I'm not worrying about busy mind, unbusy mind. Don't worry about thoughts or distractions. In fact, these form an integral part of our practice. You know, the thoughts, the feelings, the sounds, movements of all kind. This is why we're here, so we get better acquainted at it. We get to watch these things without letting them get us, without having them take us away into this sort of the land of unconscious. And we use our breath. Our breath is that sort of somatic experience, this requirement or imaginary requirement to focus purely on how we think about things and create a bit of space around actually what's happening in our lives. And the breath does that so wonderfully well. Movement, watching distraction and gently coming back to our movement. And often sometimes our breath sort of naturally slows down. It gets a little deeper quite naturally. But apart from that, there's no change. We're just resting and watching that flow in whatever parts of the body that we can recognize it the most, or the easiest or simplest. Now there's a lot of space, there's a lot of stillness that we can begin to find around the breath. And wonderfully, it's not something that we ever have to search for. This thing just rises up all on its own. And remembering stillness is not a state. I'm not trying to get to somewhere. It's that somatic presence as we sort of rest into the body. Often they can just begin, maybe the things you begin to notice is sort of, maybe there's a little bit of space that begins to open up between the thoughts. You know? Or on the other hand, maybe it's the recognizing that you are thinking or feeling. Stillness doesn't always mean that nothing is going on. We can have an incredibly busy mind and yet still be still. Chaos can be going on all around us, be it internal and external. And yet as we watch our breath, it's like as if we're sitting in the eye of the storm. Now, as we move through our body for the remaining part, now, the somatic experience here is we're just looking or trying to notice the different sensations that is held within the body. And maybe even now, as you sort of bring some attention to the breath, you notice how the sensations in the nose feels a little bit different from the sensations in the stomach. And maybe there's a coolness at the tip of the nose, whereas the stomach is more like a feeling of expansion. And with this next breath, what I want you to do, I want you to see if you can breathe that attention all the way down and into our feet. And just watching what information the feet begin to sort of offer up to you. Maybe what we feel as pressure or warmth. And that our mind is processing, advising you, keeping you up to date. As we begin to explore the sensations in our feet a little closer, maybe we notice how one foot feels slightly different to the other. Maybe they feel exactly the same. And even bringing our attention a little closer, can we feel the different types of sensations within the foot, the toes, the heels, the arches, around the sides of the foot? And again, don't worry about whether you're doing this perfectly or not. The most important thing here is awareness, with the intention of awareness as well, the exploration, the curiosity. And remembering any time our mind just seems to wander, that is an incredibly important point. That is the mindfulness. You're noticing, conscious of the movement. And we just gently guide that attention back into our feet again. No requirement for judgment or criticism. Just open and kind. And the next part, we're just going to bring it up from the feet and into the legs. And we're going to do both legs as a whole, so from the ankles all the way up to the hips. And just watching again what information the body is throwing up to you, is processing for you. Again, maybe there's a feeling of pressure, warmth. Now, if you're lying down, maybe you've got a blanket over you this morning. Or if you sat up, maybe you can feel the feet under the legs, the clothes that we're wearing. And we just explore those first few sensations with curiosity. And then as we get a little more curious, and maybe noticing how one leg just feels a little different to the other. And just being curious about that. Not so much the why, but just the where. And let's just explore that a little further. And just looking for particular sensations in the leg or legs. Maybe noticing how the knees feel a little different to all the way up in the hips. The ankles, the shins, the calves feel a little different to the other parts in the leg or legs. And then now, I want you just to imagine all the tension. I'm just trying to maybe even feel different parts in the body, if you haven't noticed from the hips down, just the legs and the feet at the moment. Just this whole lower half. Just want you to imagine there being tension in this part of the body. Or finding out maybe the parts that feel a little more tense. I want to see if, as you breathe out these next few times, you can breathe out and just let go of all of that tension, all of the stress. It's okay to imagine that. Maybe imagining tension being a particular color. And just sort of breathing out and seeing that color just sort of melt away into the bed, into the cushion, the couch. Or maybe it's just sort of this allowing the release. And just in your mind, you sort of breathe out and just say, relax, or ease. And don't worry about whether you've let go or not. The intention is the most important part. And so next we're going to bring our attention up into the torso. So from the neck and the shoulders all the way down to the hips, not including our arms, just the torso. And just resting our attention now. Again, being interested in the information that the body is giving up. And just watching what we can feel here. Maybe it's the very prominent breath that comes first. Maybe it's the pressure. Maybe we can feel the weight of our shoulders or the clothes that we're wearing. And again, just being curious. And always remembering, at any point we get distracted, we just bring our attention back. That's the mindfulness part, Well, the added mindfulness part. We're just feeling this quite large part of our body, from the shoulders all the way down to our hips. And then getting curious about the different types of sensations. Which ones feel a little different to the others? And then exploring a little further, getting a little closer, a little bit more intimate with the sensations. And narrowing it down onto a couple of different ones. And just exploring their difference, or what is different about them. And next, let's take it into the arms. From the shoulders all the way down to the fingertips. Now, when I bring my attention to my arms this way, I naturally want to sort of work my way up. And I sort of seem to start down all the way down to the fingertips. I can just often start just by feeling the pressure of the hand against the other hand as I'm sat. Or if they're on your stomach or lay down next to you. Feeling right on the fingertips. Very sensitive part. Very easy to notice. Most of the time. And just as we bring our attention up, going up into the palms, the wrists, the forearms, the elbows and upper arms. And remember, try not to name the particular types of sensations. Now, I do the naming for you, but you're just trying to feel it. And the feeling of pressure, the feeling of warmth, the tingling sensations, whatever it is. You're just learning to sort of feel onto that information. And even being curious from one arm to the other. What feels the same? What feels different? What can you notice? What can't you notice? And just being curious. And now this upper part, from the neck down to the hips, including the arms. Just want you to imagine where all the tension is gathered. Again, maybe it's a light or a colour. Maybe it's a feeling. Maybe you'd notice the shoulders feel a little tight, whatever it is. Lower back. And then now you're going to give your permission as you breathe out just to let go. Watching the color drain out away from you. All the tension just floods out. Just feeling the shoulders just soften. Feeling the back and lower back just soften. Just doing that a couple of times, just breathing out and just letting all of that tension go. Just imagine all of that tension just draining away as best as you can do. And finally, we bring it up into the head. So the neck and the head. Maybe the prominent sensation is hair. Unfortunately, it's not for me. Maybe it's the hair on your chin then, like I have. Maybe you can feel the weight of the eyelids, the jaw, the tongue, lips, the movement of the breath going through the nose. Maybe if your head's rested on a pillow, you can feel the pressure of the head against the pillow. And then again, just noticing the different types of sensations that are there. What are the types of sensations you can feel there? What can you notice? And again, just getting a little more intimate with it. You know, what are some of the particular sensations that we can feel? And just feeling into those a little. And now the last thing we do it as a whole body this time. As we breathe in, I want you to breathe in. As you breathe in, I just want you to try and feel as much of the body as you can as we breathe in from head all the way down to the toes. Just breathing in and noticing as much as you can. And breathing out. I want you to see as you breathe out, I want you to really extend the out breath and see if you can just let go of every last bit of tension held in the body. Just breathing out and letting go. And doing that a couple more times. We breathe in and notice. And then breathe out. Just let it all go. Let all the tension go. All the stress just melting away. And after you've done that 3 times, just resting a few moments. Just relaxing. Nothing else for you to do. Relaxing openly. And then in your own time, you're just opening your eyes. Okay, so that is somatic practice, embodiment, body scan. And if you enjoyed that, please, I'm going to be doing loads of free content on YouTube, so please, they've got a little subscribey thing that they send you out updates and emails, messages, or whatever it is. So please jump on and subscribe. Going to be doing lots of regular fresh content on here. I'm beginning to really like this platform as a way of sort of keeping hold of these videos in a better way, I suppose. All right, that is it. I will be back again Sunday next week, same time, doing something very similar. But keep a lookout and have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon.